That's right. I think he started off with good intentions. It was about making sure we identify individuals who have concerns being radicalised or becoming extremists, and we work with them to ensure that they're either locked up or they're directed into other areas so that they stop being extremists and being a danger to our communities. But actually what's actually happened, it's become counterproductive. I think the Muslim community as a whole has huge concerns. There are examples of the community in Birmingham that was up in arms when prevent cameras were put into, CCTV cameras were put in, and it's very, very well documented the concerns that the local community had about the fact that they weren't consulted in a timely way.
Mr. Rafiq, what do you think? I mean, is this interface just being run too crudely, to be used?
No, I actually find the comments made by Mr. Babu today quite offensive and quite problematic. First of all, I think they're an affront to the scores of parents that are actually engaging with police and authorities to actually prevent their children from being radicalised in the first place. Secondly, for all the practitioners and the police themselves who are working diligently in this area. But also, I'm not surprised that Mr. Babu finds the Prevent programme now toxic, in his own words, because I know that certainly whilst he was putting Muslims in a box by setting up the National Association of Muslim Police, the organisation that he worked, that particular organisation at the time, worked very closely and supported an organisation, the Islamic Human Rights Commission, that supported jihadists, extremists, that actually, on a recording that we've got in January, asked students to undertake civil disobedience, and of course worked with Cage quite extensively, who've been exposed as an organisation that supports extremists and Jihadi John. So I'm not surprised that he believes it to be toxic, because the very people that it's designed to be toxic for are finding it toxic, and this probably seems to be the kind of people that Mr. Babu has in the past worked with and may well be talking to now.
Mr. Babu, what's your response to those charges there?
Well, I think that's just complete and utter rubbish. What we remember is Quilliam Foundation got £1 million from the Prevent strategy, so you shouldn't be surprised that Quilliam Foundation are saying it's a wonderful thing. I think the reality is Quilliam are a discredited organisation. They do not have the confidence of the Muslim community. They are a mouthpiece for government agencies. So what we really need is a real opportunity to challenge policies, work with the agencies. And as a police officer, I worked very, very closely with agencies to stop crime happening. So, I'm very, very surprised at some of the allegations that are being made. But we really need to work closely, and we need to acknowledge where things aren't working. And if an organisation has had £1 million like Quilliam, I would be very, very surprised if they say, actually, the money you gave us has been very poorly used.
No, I think that's again rubbish. I think because Quilliam, when it was first set up in 2007, did receive £300,000 a year. That money stopped in 2010/2011, and the last 4 years we haven't received any government funding whatsoever. And in fact, Adam, even on your programme, we've been very, very critical of the government, saying that they've not been doing enough to prevent people from becoming radicalised in the first place, which is something Mr. Babu certainly, when he mentioned that Prevent is meant to do X, it wasn't. It was actually initially designed, when I launched it with Ruth Kelly, to actually prevent people from being radicalised in the first place. The bit about engaging with people once they've been radicalised came much later.
I mean, there are people, I mean, we heard this from Cage last week in connection with Mohammed Emwazi, who seem to think that any attempt to create an interface to intervene is somehow offensive and simply pushes people away. But the wider society is concerned that there are a small minority of people who are getting radicalised, and they wonder what they should do about it, Mr. Babu.
Yeah, I think Cage's views are reprehensible, and justifying the actions of Emwazi was shocking. I think what we need to be doing is we need to really be very, very honest. We need to hear what the Muslim community are saying and not create a situation where we become counterproductive. If my maths is right,
£300,000 though, aren't you?
Well, I think it's inevitable, but if my maths is right, £300,000 a year for 3.5 years is £1 million. And I think what we've got with Quilliam is that they do not have the confidence of the community. If you go to key organisations like the Muslim Council of Britain, if you go to some of the biggest mosques, East London mosques, you will hear people say that they don't have any trust in Quilliam Foundation. Now, Quilliam has taken that money. It has not been independent. It is hardly surprising They come onto your programme, Adam, and say that Prevent is working, when in fact we are still having people going across to Syria. You know, the estimates are 30 to 40 individuals. I think we have some really effective and hard-working police officers who are doing a really good job. And I think, you know, we shouldn't take away from that. But what we really need to be doing is start asking some questions around safeguarding as a whole. If you look at children's services, you know, have we had any serious case reviews? We really need to understand the lessons that we can learn. So where a young person has been a victim of grooming, online grooming, what have we done to learn about that individual? And we seem to have taken a very different approach. We are quite rightly condemning Oxfordshire, the police in Oxfordshire, Thames Valley Police and the children's services in Oxfordshire for failing in the way that they dealt with all the young women that were groomed by the paedophiles. But we need to be looking at these 15-year-old girls. They are children. We need to make sure that we understand how they were groomed, you know, and it's via the internet and what we're doing around dealing with the internet and ensuring the key agencies that work with our young people.
To Mr. Rafiq.
Yeah, I think therein lies the problem. Again, Mr. Babu was talking about mosques in East London, Muslim Council of Britain. These are the very same mosques that are inviting hate preachers, and it's been exposed many times, and the government has decided that they will not entertain them, and so have many other authorities. But I think herein lies another problem. If Mr. Babu doesn't know, whilst he was a person that was receiving Prevent funding himself from his departments in London, what and how youngsters are being groomed, therein lies the crub, if you like, the whole issue. We know what it is. We know that certain organisations in the UK are purveying a particular Islamist narrative, which is based on hate preachers, which is based on this utopian Islamist
What can you do about it?
Well, two things. First of all, once people have been identified as showing support, we provide an intervention, rehabilitation, de-radicalise, or arrest if we have to. But the bigger war, Adam, if we're going to win that, is to prevent people from being radicalised in the first place, build the resilience so that when the youngsters are faced with the ideas online or offline, they've got the ability to push back. If we don't do that, it doesn't matter who we upset and who we don't upset, we're not going to win this struggle.
Well, obviously, very much divided views there. Thank you both for joining me.